This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL, but you're encouraged to like and share them on Facebook. Howard Insurance in Port St. Lucie now presents The African American Scene, hosted by Rudy Howard.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Always glad to be with you here on a Wednesday night. Wow, there is no shortage of things going on, that's for sure. I just want to say that, over the past couple weeks, I talked about our democracy being very fragile. And I think that from what you're hearing from people, excerpts of Woodard's book, and some of the discussions, people are really concerned about the president not willing to adhere to some of the norms associated with the presidency. And today, there was an op-ed piece written. I can't wait to read the whole thing. I read little parts of it before we came on air. Somebody in the administration wrote that said they have had to hide documents from him, and that generally he, in many cases, has acted unfit as president of the United States. Now, listen, this is not me. It's not some Democrat saying it. It's a member of his own administration saying it. So what we've been observing, and we've been telling you all along, there was even, here's a really disturbing thing, and I guess this is in Woodward's book, some discussion of the 25th Amendment. For those of you that don't know what the 25th Amendment is, it is the amendment in the Constitution that allows you to remove a president. Now, typically, it refers to a president who is ill, and also it typically would be something that the president might initiate himself, unless he was unable to do so. But I don't know. It's really a very strange time. Very strange time. And I am so disappointed in the lack of courage and backbone of my Republican friends to stand up, who were standing up and screaming and yelling every time Obama took a breath that didn't appear to be right. They complained he took too many holidays. They complained he took too many golf trips. The current president, lives on the damn golf course. He's played more golf in the year and a half that he's been president than President Obama paid in 8 years while he was president. No complaints about that, though. Listen, there's two things. Conservative Steve sent me a letter, and I reread that letter again today before coming on the air. And in essence, what he has said to me in this letter is that, and well, you know what? Let me just read what he says, because I don't want to be say I misconstrued his statement. Here's his statement. It's quite evident by your words, your perception of racism makes and takes up a large part of your character. Since words are used for meaningful communication, their definition are very important. Okay, so he goes on to try to give me definitions of emotions and natural and instincts, and he gives me those definitions. Now, Let me address that. I do not consider myself a person that is hung up on race per se. Now, I come here every Wednesday, and a vast majority of the themes that I talk about on Wednesday night are racial in nature just because there's nobody else doing it. And if there was somebody else doing it, I would probably do something else. But I think it's a voice that needs to be had. But, Steve, for your benefit, I'm going to give you a statement that was made by the owner of the last company I worked for in New York City before I came to Florida. And we were on a big trip. We did these corporate trips every year, and they usually were pretty lavish. They were very good about spending money on the employees. And we were in Vegas. And he pulled me aside and he said, "I need to talk to you." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Okay, Alex, what is it?" He said, "You're strange." I said, "I am?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, well, why do you say that?" He said, "Because you're a fiercely proud black man, but you get along with everybody." And I thought about that for a moment, and I said, okay. So I think the moral of that story is, if you are really comfortable in your own skin and comfortable with who you are, and you're black, that typically is associated with somebody being hostile to others who are not black, I guess, because you can be a fierce Irishman or a fierce Italian, but when you're a fiercely proud black man, somehow that seems to be unusual if you can get along with everybody. Well, I guess that's probably a pretty good description of me. Those, my white friends that know me really well, know I don't run from conversations. If you start a conversation, I'm not going to start it. And I start stuff here on Wednesday night. I'm not going to start a conversation, but if you start the conversation, I'm going to finish the conversation. So if you don't want me to say anything that might be controversial, don't bring it up. Because my theory is there's far too many black people that are too polite and allow people to say things and don't respond. Just like I will tell you that a person who shall remain nameless was in the presence of someone who used the N-word. And this just happened within the last week. And my response was, "Well, what did you say?" I didn't say anything because I didn't want to, rock the boat. And I said, I know. And the person said, I know. If you'd have been there, you'd have never let them get away with that. I said, "You're right about that." They wouldn't have got away with that if I was there. But that's what I'm talking about. So, and the person that let them get away with that is not a wimpy person. They just decided that they weren't going to respond. Whereas I definitely would have responded. So I hope that gives you some perspective, Steve, on where I stand on things. Now, as we're moving toward these midterm elections, I'm really interested in how you feel. There seems to be a move afoot. I took an unofficial poll, and Chuck, who called up last week and who I communicate with on Facebook on a pretty regular basis, he talked about my little unofficial poll that I took about here on the radio a couple weeks ago, right, Cliff? The poll we took. Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago, I guess. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I would like to know. I would tell you that for the first time that I can remember, in recent memory, there have been a lot of people leaving the Republican Party, very frustrated with where the party is. And last week, we had this discussion about the browning of America. And the persons, had two people call up and say they tried to equate my statement with the browning of America to disliking black conservatives. I'm still trying to figure out how those two things tie together, but that was part of.
Well, you know, when people comment on something and refer to something as according to how they see it, according to how they know it.
Yeah.
And well, it's a subject that they might not be interested in, so they got preconceived notions already about what it means.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think, you know, you can't base everybody else on the way you feel about it. And that goes for everybody, basically, because, you know, if you feel a certain way about something that Rudy says, and to you would think it was something else. What was that little phrase they came up with just in the past week? Dog whistle.
Yeah.
Racial dog whistling. People will say one thing that means two different things to two different people.
Yes.
And there's a lot of that's just mixed up in our culture, that's just gotten into our heads to where it's just people think it's normal to just think like that.
Well, let me tell you why that has happened. We've gone to the dog whistling thing, and that was started by this legislator out of South Carolina whose name I can't recall. I can see his face, but I can't recall his name. But he was called the Southern tactic. And part of it was created because it became very uncool to be openly racial and racist. So what you do is you do a series of things that communicate a racial preference without actually saying it.
Right. In other words, if you're a dog and you can hear a dog whistle, you can hear it. But if you're not a dog and you're not listening for it, you never hear it. It goes right over your head.
Exactly.
So nobody notices. So conveniently, nobody notices.
Well, and part of that is a pretty brilliant strategy, because you will have certain segments of folks that will fight fiercely that it is not a racial statement at all.
Right.
It you know, that black people are just blowing that out of proportion, like what has happened with DeSantis.
No, blow a dog whistle and watch your dog's ears. You won't hear anything, but the dog's ears will respond.
Oh yeah. you know, just like what this thing with DeSantis. Now it's interesting because I heard some white guys on TV said, there's no question in my mind that was a dog whistle. And I heard other people saying that it's just unfair. He did not mean anything by that at all.
Tell the dog.
Yeah, right, exactly. Tell the dog. And again, the phone number is 340-1590, 340-1590. But, you know, that has been like I said, a development since people are no longer so willing to openly discuss race. But I think what we have here is quietly what I am beginning to see is there are people that were heavily invested in Donald Trump, and all of his shenanigans, his rudeness and his bad behavior is starting to turn some of them off. I think some of them were turned off early on, but I think now it's getting to the point where it's intolerable for some people. Now, there's going to be a segment that are not going to leave him no matter what. But I do think there are some people that are growing a little weary of what's happening. And listen, I said it early on, and I'm going to say it again. He is not going to make 4 years. Ain't going to happen. He's going to go down. First off, because he can't help himself, because he's going to say something ultimately that's going to bring him down himself probably. Did you hear the discussion that his attorney had with him when he said he wanted to testify to Mueller, and his attorney said no. And he told him, you lie. You can't testify because you tell too many lies. And they will trap you. So they ran, and this is, I'm going on what I heard, and this is from Woodward's book. They ran a mock trial, a mock deposition of what it would like to be interviewed by Mueller. And of course, he failed something ferocious. And they said to him, that would put you in an orange suit, what you just did. But I guess the thing for me is I'm not sure I understand why all these people are so wedded to this guy who lies as much as people breathe. And we expect all the politicians going to tell you, they're going to twist and turn the truth. But boy, this guy here is in another zone altogether. Now, we now have people, your kids are going off to college, going back to school now. How does that feel? Did anybody have any anxiety when they packed up that car and they took their kid to school and they dropped them off? Well, I tell you what, I sure remember how that felt. Share that with us. What was going through your mind when you took your son and daughter and you drove them up there, you unpacked the car and helped them set up the room, their book bag, and hung up their pictures, helped them make up their bed. Then you turned around and you left. I can tell you, I'll share with you the feeling that I had when, and well, of course, this was a long time ago, but when my folks took my stuff, and I had the old classic black locker that took up to my room, and my sister had on a nice crinoline dress and shoes, and she was looking all sharp. And I went downstairs, and they had just dropped me off in Springfield, Massachusetts, and they were headed back to New Jersey. And I went downstairs, and I waved bye to them, and then I went upstairs and sat on the bed in the dorm, and I looked around, and I thought to myself, what the heck am I doing here?
What were they going through in the car?
Oh, man. All of a sudden, panic went all over my body. I was like, oh, my God, I'm really here now. What am I going to do? I think it's so funny now because, you know, that fear of like, okay, you're really here. You're in college. You're going to have to do this. So that was funny. But so if you want to share that with us, I'm more than willing to listen. I also would like to know have you changed your opinion about Donald Trump? If you have, I'd like to hear. If you haven't, I want to hear. Because if you haven't, I'd like to know why you haven't. That number is 340-1590. Now, I'll tell you, one of my friends, conservative friends, and I have had a really active debate going back and forth about the economy. And I think we finally came to my surprise, I think we hit some mutual ground. Because he's a staunch capitalist, but and I'm a mix of capitalism and the need for government programs. And he was actually all anti-government program, but he's no longer fully anti-government programs. We came to the agreement that there is a need for a mix of capitalism and government programs. So, and to me, that makes the most sense. You have to have a mix of government programs and the free market. The free market, although all of my conservative friends say the free market is the way to go, there is no other way, it's not. Because the free market's not free. And also, in many respects, the free market is crooked. And if you want to get an idea about how crooked it is, there's a program on called Whistleblower. And my wife got me to look at this program. And it's about various businesses that have done things to rip off the public. And there's somebody within the organization that has the courage to turn them in, and sometime at great personal costs. And we have Angelo on line one. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Rudy. How are you?
Good, good.
Well, I'm a Mexican American. I'm a registered Republican. And against all of my friends' opinion, I did vote for Donald Trump. And I'm sure I will again. And because what drives me to vote, this kid here, is the economy. It's the I look for stability, sir. And when I look on the news and I see that our president made peace with North Korea, we were almost on the brink of war. And giving also a lot of credit to Dennis Rodman. They made peace with North Korea. The economy is doing well. The gasoline prices are okay. The rest to me is just static noise. All this about the book and he said, she said, unnamed sources, anonymous sources, to me that's just gossip. What I see is that everybody's working. There's relative peace in the world. I don't see any major terrorist attack recently in the United States. So I think we're doing okay. If things keep going this way, I'll be happy to vote for him again. And but that's how I see things.
Okay.
And I just wanted to share that with you, sir.
Okay. Well, don't
Thank
hang
you.
up. Let me add to that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now here's the issue that you have to be aware of.
Yes.
The rate of inflation for goods and services is running about 2.9%. The average wage has increased about 2.7%. So what that means in essence is you're losing ground. So while there may be additional jobs in the marketplace, those jobs are not adequate in order to help you stay ahead of inflation. So if now, like, for example, one of the big things that they do now that I never even heard of is they use a lot of contract workers. You know how that works?
Yes, I do, sir. Of course I do.
Okay. All right. Well, they do a lot of that now in New York City. So they can hire you on a contract basis, which means I don't have to give you any benefits. I don't have to give you any holiday pay. So what does that do? That keeps my expenses rock bottom and and cuts down on my payroll taxes. So in essence, I may be showing that I'm adding more people, but by the same token, I'm reducing benefits and taking away additional sources
Let's go.
from people. So
Well,
just keep that in mind too.
yeah, but at the same time, that's a very good analysis. But at the same time, this is not 2006, not 2008, not 2010 when people was losing their homes. Of course, we're not making the same kind of money, but we are all working. We're all coming home to a house with a key that opens the door. And but the thing is, I think he's doing a good job. I think he's doing well with the rest of the world. I feel more at peace now, and I'm not going to compare him with any other presidents because every situation is different. But I do think that he's doing very good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you, sir. Have a good afternoon.
Okay. Thank you, Angelo. Appreciate your input. And Angelo was very happy with the president's performance as a Mexican American. I think that's very interesting. But and I'm glad he took the time to share that with us. And we have John on line one. Yes, how you doing, John?
Hi, Rudy. How are you?
Okay.
That's an interesting perspective, an interesting view of Trump from this gentleman.
Yes.
I don't think they realize that Obama inherited the problems we had from the previous administration. And while he was president, I don't remember America being attacked. Do you?
No.
No. Now, when Trump ran for office and the way he talked and the people that he ridiculed, the cripples and the ugly women, and McCain not being a hero because he was captured, right there and then I couldn't vote for him.
Oh.
You know, I just couldn't. I think that the percentage, 38 or 40%, whatever it is, that backs him, I mean, they're just loyal. They have blinders on. There's no way you're going to change their thinking or convince them otherwise. It's a lost cause, really. And I think they're driven by mainly the hate for Hillary and minorities. There's an awful lot of prejudice involved, and you know that, and I know that. I think that if people who see it differently, who realize that Trump is, how can I say this, not good for this country. He has made friends with our enemies and enemies with our allies. France, England, Canada.
Oh.
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's crazy, you know. It's so frustrating, you know.
John, let me share this with you.
Let me just say one thing, Rudy, please.
Okay.
If people don't vote, then the people that they do not want in office are going to be elected. So their not voting is just as just as much value as voting. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It can work against them, and they don't think they realize that. Everybody depends on somebody else to get out there and vote. Well, I'm not worried. The Democrats will get in, or somebody who's fair-minded. Even if you had a Republican who was like McCain, who was kind of middle of the road, that saw both sides, you wouldn't mind. You know, if he was the best candidate, you would vote for him. When these candidates were running for governor, I listened to their interview listened to them being interviewed.
Me too.
And I put check mark when it was a positive, what do you call it, interview, when a positive speech from them. And I gave Gilliam, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I gave him, I think, 2 or 3 check marks, and I gave Levine 3 check marks and an X. Because there was something in there that was kind of negative that I didn't think that I agreed with or would want a governor. And I got to be honest, I didn't vote for him because I didn't think he had a chance, and I didn't want to take a vote away from a candidate that may have that I mainly agreed with as well. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And now that he, has been chosen, I'm going to vote for him naturally. He's educated. He's reasonable. He seems like he's for the average guy, for the worker, for the middle class. He certainly, deserves a vote. I think that's my opinion. This is not a democratic state, but all we can do is hope that people come to their senses and vote the person who tells you what they can do for the state or for the country, and not tear somebody else apart. Most candidates ridicule their opponents and instead of telling you what they're going to do. Now, all of a sudden, we have candidates like Mass,
yeah,
and the governor telling you they're going to take care of the green algae and the blue this and that. Well, he's been governor for what, 4 years, 8 years? I don't know what it is.
8 years.
He's gung ho, and he's gonna. Where have you been? Why haven't you done it? I mean, you got to wait till he's in Congress to make a difference. This is his state. I want to tell you something. This state got a lot of attention when Bush's brother was governor.
Yeah.
I'll say one thing. If he needed something, it was done. We got it, and that was a positive thing. Anyway, I've said my spiel. Thank you, and I'm listening to you now.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
I have to say that I kind of was where John was at when I first heard of Andrew Gillum. And I know some people are going to say, you were with him because he's a black guy. No, I wasn't. And when I first heard about him, I looked at him with a jaundiced eye. Then I did some reading. And then I saw him perform in the debates. And after I saw him perform in the debates, I thought to myself, man, this guy has got it on the ball. This guy is really sharp. And he won me over. I felt like he's a very capable guy, and I think he would be really, really good for our state now. Now, let me say something else that John said. I don't think there's any doubt that part of the negativity of Obama was the fact that some people just never could get with the idea of a black man being president of the United States. But another part of it is they did not like the fact that that Obama's very professorial. He didn't beat on his chest. He didn't pound on the desk. He just very smoothly went about the things that he did in a very thoughtful way. And if you ever took public speaking, if you ever watch him speak, he has little pauses sometimes in his conversation. That's because he's carefully thinking about what he's going to say, and that's a technique that you learn in public speaking. Now, that did not give some people comfort because he was not animated enough to make them feel good about themselves, because a lot of times people want to see people be more animated. And the one thing Trump is, my God, is he animated. He's animated as hell. So you felt like if he's doing this and doing that, then he's going to be a guy that's going to take care of us. But, you know, actually, Trump probably would have been okay in the 1950s, maybe even the 40s. But what you need today is a guy that's a brainiac, because all the things and all the problems that we have are not problems easily solved by machismo. They are solved by thought, innovation, and the ability to understand systems that now govern a part of what we're doing. And I've said this before, so forgive me if you've heard me say this before, but I have to say this because I don't think many of you are getting it. We just agreed to spend $710 billion enhancing our military. And there's a whole bunch of conservatives out, yes, because we have to have the #1 military in the world, blah, 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 blah. We have more aircraft carriers than any other country on the planet. We can send aircraft carriers around the world and bomb the hell out of anybody and send planes in and destroy cities in many nations. Now, the next 20 countries don't spend as much money as we do in military armaments. But now watch this. See, here's where you're missing. I'm going to try to bring you with me on this story here. Putin figured out way back when Reagan broke their back with the arms race that they could never win an arms race. They just don't have the resources to be in an arms race with us. So what did Putin do? He concentrated on the internet. He concentrated on wreaking havoc on our computer systems and networks. So while we're out here continuing to spend millions and billions of dollars in armaments, he was smart enough to figure out he can't win that race. So he goes the other way, dealing with intellectual properties. Now, let me tell you why that frustrates me. There is nobody on the planet that could convince me if we made the investment, we could crush them in that area. We have all the technical know-how and we've got the minds. It's just about the will. Now, you know why we can't do that? I'm going to say something very controversial. And this is the kind of stuff that my friends say is going to get me shot one day. We can't do that because we in the pocket of the military complex, just like Eisenhower projected. There is so much money in building bombs and tanks and aircraft carriers that fuels jobs in Virginia and Maryland that we can't do the thing that we need to do, which is invest in more of the internet cybersecurity stuff. Now, if I was president, we wouldn't have spent $710 billion. I wouldn't be opposed to spending additional money on military to help us maintain our strength as a military power. But a substantial amount of that money I would have invested in internet security and in counterattacks on the internet. So we think about that. And we got Winnie on line one. Yes, Winnie.
How you doing, Rudy? Howard Cliff?
Okay.
Yeah, talk about the Donna, but I don't think he ain't going nowhere. I think he'll do. I believe, a little psychic, but I believe he might do the whole 4 years. Feel like they ain't going to impeach him, but no matter what he does, they don't complain. So I guess they happy. I thought the people. I don't, seem like he ain't going anywhere. So, I guess what it is, what it is. I don't know. But I know the next 4 years, I know people asking me, when he gonna vote for him again? I say, it depends on who gonna run against him. They got somebody good to run against them, so it depends. About the dollar. But that guy Andrew Dillon, somebody Ben was telling me about him a while ago, way before. I asked the people had to hear it. They say no, I had to have heard about it. But I looked him up online. He said he had some good stuff. Raised the minimum wage for $15. He said some good stuff online. I said, well, I like this guy. Then he sent me some flyers in the mail and stuff like that and everything. I really like him. Really, I voted for him because he lied, and then he had some good ideas. Good ideas and stuff like that. The dollar going back to here, I don't believe it to Rocky. I'm trying to call you Rocky. We talk about the dollar a lot, but Rudy, I don't believe he ain't going anywhere.
Well,
So I don't have no complaints. I guess people, whatever it is, I guess they must be happy. They try to throw him out the chair. I like to say that you predict that he gonna be impeached, but feel like that's not happening.
well, I tell you what, I still got. We've done we've done a year and a half, so that means we've got another year and a half to go, and I am making this commitment. I made it earlier. You maybe didn't hear me. He will never finish 4 years. Just will not finish. Listen, if you just look, it's closing in on him like you can't believe. Look at all the indictments. Look at all his friends turning over. His longtime accountant is now giving testimony. It's just a matter of time. And here's the thing. All the people who have supported him are going to have to ask themselves, why? Why did I support him? I had a feeling some of that was happening, but what made me do it? What made me say I support him?
I guess they didn't want Hillary chair because she a lady. I guess people got tired of Democrats. They said Obama was 8 years. They just got tired of Democrats in the chair. I guess that's could be about him himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll work it out.
Yeah.
So you don't think he'll do the whole 4, huh?
No, I do not think he's going to do the whole 4. I do not. I think the pressure. First of all, pressure busts pipes. And he's under pressure like you. Listen, all these indictments, all these people he's known is flipping over on him and testifying, and he don't know what they're saying in the room. That's rough. I'd be a nervous wreck. Are you kidding me? But hey, listen though, he seems to be weathering the storm, although if you look at some of the things that are written, he goes on a rampage in the White House screaming and yelling and cursing. Hey.
That's terrible.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. Yeah.
That's what he be doing.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah.
We'll be talking, Rudy.
Okay.
Y'all have a good night. Bye-bye.
Okay.
If the president has a temper tantrum in the White House and there's no press present to witness it, does it make noise?
Listen, I heard this earlier. this is going to make some people very, very mad, but it's just truthful. They said he's got the leakiest administration that anybody can remember in the recent past. And a large part of that is because they don't trust him. They don't believe in him. And he has not, he's always demanding loyalty, but he doesn't seem to be that loyal to the people that work for him.
Aren't there a whole lot fewer security clearances all of a sudden?
Yeah. But people they turn on him, they flip on him, they give stories to the press on him. The people they don't believe in him. You know, the people that are close to him, you know, they get, you know, they have to watch all his antics and they have to deal with that on a daily basis.
Well, all the people close to him aren't necessarily friends with him.
Yeah.
You know, they could consider themselves opponents. I don't want to use the word haters but there was a lot of that in there. But of all the opponents that are working with him aren't really with him, you know.
Well, I think that's true.
The leaking comes from people that want to find something and help, and hey, they'll put their 2 cents worth of help into that, try to catch something.
But Obama didn't have leaks like this.
Oh no, but he was not without the constant pressure, very much like
he had. Oh yes, he did have pressure.
Because when the Bush administration left, that administration had undergone the most hate I had ever seen towards the president, but it rolled right over. The hate machine couldn't stop at that point. When Obama became president, that hate machine rolled right over into the Obama administration. You can't stop the snowball of hate once it starts rolling. That's the danger we're in as America, because people want to push a snowball. And, you know, if you're going to push hate around, make it an ice cube in the desert on a nice warm hill of sand. It won't gather any more snow when it rolls down, but gravity works the same everywhere.
I do think there's a lot of merit in what you said. I think it started, and now it's like it is just like a snowball rolling downhill, picking up steam and size as it rolls. Yeah. Somewhere, though, it's got to stop, because what we're into right now is not good for our country.
Right.
We can't talk to each other.
Everybody's afraid to say anything because they're afraid they're going to get yelled at, jumped at, or publicly ridiculed, or even attacked in public.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of that here.
No, but you have to be able – listen, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The best ideas that we have had in this country is when the left and the right sit down at a table and they can come together and come to an agreement on a particular policy or philosophy.
Because we need a right hand and a left hand.
Yes, we do. Because the right doesn't have all the answers, and the left doesn't have all the answers.
And everybody's not like an arm wrestler or even a carpenter who swings a hammer all day with one arm as big around as his waist, you know, like a baseball player. That pitching arm, they got that huge, huge arm. If they're right-handed, it's the right arm. If they're left-handed, it's the left. But you know, that comes from a lot of work. It just doesn't happen overnight.
No, it doesn't. But all it really requires is the willingness to sit down and to listen to somebody, and listen. Now, here's the most important point. Listen to an idea that is different than yours and hear it. You got to listen to it and hear it. And if you listen to it and hear it, then you're going to find that sometimes they may have an idea that's a little bit better than yours. Or you can take a piece of that idea with your idea and come up with a solution. That's what we did in the past, and now we're not able to do that.
Wow.
And I think that's very sad. But I think that's where we have to get back to, We have to get back to the point where we can sit at the table, people with two different points of view can talk out a situation and come up with a solution.
Winnie's call was amazing because, I mean, the folks that listen to this show, they don't, we present a black perspective to them on this show. But what they don't understand is a combination of a black perspective with a senior citizen perspective.
Yes.
And I'll bet your jaws dropped when she called. I know mine did, and yours did a little bit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But the thought out there that, for instance, a lot of folks will say, well, they want to get the black vote, so they want to do this and they want to do that. No, they get it from their merit because whether the rest of us see it or not, Winnie sees some kind of merit to want to vote for somebody, a reason to vote. And but see, a lot of folks don't know about that particular perspective. You know, it's it's not a stereotypical perspective or it's not an assumed perspective.
Listen, I told you before, I was blessed enough to meet Gwen Graham when she came here, quote unquote. They called some leaders in the community together to meet with her, and I was fortunate enough to be one of the people, and I was quite impressed with her, and was leaning in that direction until I actually heard Gillum. And once I heard him, and I was like, this guy is sharp. But I was leaning very heavily in Gwen's direction, having met her personally and sat down across the table from her and talked to her. But in any event, I would like to tell you guys, it is always my pleasure to come here on Wednesday nights and talk to you and have you talk back to me. And I love you guys. God bless. Be safe, and I will see you right here next Wednesday for the African Americans.
Okay, class dismissed. We're all smarter now. We're all a little bit more open to things. And you know what? We should really pay attention and listen to everything. We don't have to believe everything that we see and hear. We can't, but we should be open to everything so that we can then make a decision for ourselves. The African American Scene, every Wednesday evening in the 6 p.m. hour right here on Digital 1590 WPSL. It's one of the many reasons why WPSL is the talk of the Treasure Coast and celebrating 25 years and counting.
Serving the entire Treasure Coast, Howard Insurance and Associates in Port St. Lucie offers a wide variety of insurance products, along with the very best customer service. Whether you're shopping for the best homeowners coverage at the most affordable value, contact Rudy